Hey guys, Justin here with JHart Modelworks. Lemon Drop, the Revell 1929 Model A Ford pickup is finally finished. She has fought me every step of the way, but we have finally wrapped her up. I am super excited to show you guys the results. Got her done just in time for the Texas Scale Model Expo that is going on this Saturday, October the 18th in Denton. If you're in the area, come check it out. But like I said, I'm super excited to show you guys the results. So let's get the camera flipped around, head out into the garage, and take a look. Alright guys, here she is, all wrapped up. Absolutely love this build. The color is fantastic. We went with scale finishes, candy lemon head yellow. I've never sprayed a yellow before. I've never built a yellow car. And I'm really happy with how this one turned out. The way that color just catches light is so cool. For our roof, we went with splash paints for their AMG Diamond White Pearl. Another beautiful color. Now we did have to paint this like 3 times to get a nice, beautiful finish, but it was worth it. Underside, we did our cherry wood to match our bed, and again, like, I cannot express how happy I am with the way this truck has turned out. Alright guys, all the chrome that you see on this build, with the exception of the slats there, that's bare metal foil, but everything else, the tank, the wheel knockoffs, the trim rings, door handles, you name it, bumpers, the lights, the works. All of this is this Ultralumen Chrome from the Digital Armory. You can only get this on their Etsy page you have to go to etsy.com and look for the Digital Armory and find the Ultralumen. I have a love-hate relationship with this chrome. When it works, it is gorgeous chrome. I mean, you can see that the results on this are really, really beautiful chrome. It's expensive. It is $50 a bottle. Now, you are getting your money's worth because you get 4 ounces, which is almost 120 milliliters, whereas everything else out there is like 30 milliliters at most. So you are getting quite a bit more. The other thing is, it's a pain to use. So the process for this chrome, you have to start out with a black base of some kind. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't even really have to be a gloss black. I use Splash Paint's 2K Gloss Black because it helps me cut out a step. So you spray your black, even Mr. Surfacer Black will work, because the next step is you have to spray a coat of 2K clear coat over it. And you have to let that cure. So right there, just waiting for your first coat of 2K to cure is a good 48 hours of cure time. Again, spraying a 2K Gloss Black allowed me to skip the 2K because it's already in the Gloss Black. I did my black base and my 2K as one coat, but still, 2 days waiting for that to cure. You then spray this chrome. And when you're spraying this chrome, you hope it doesn't go yellow. You also absolutely cannot touch it for any reason. Even if you let this stuff wait for 3, 4, 5 days to cure up, the moment you touch it, it will rub off because it's designed to be cleared over. You spray your chrome, and you don't want to flood the piece with the chrome, but you don't want to mist it on either. You want it to go on heavy but not wet. And it will look kind of yellowy brown, kind of like it does in this bottle. And then as it cures up, it turns into just this beautiful chrome finish, like you can see around the threads there. It does turn a really nice chrome. Do not touch it. Let that sit for 2 to 3 days. So you're already at 4 days minimum here. After that, you want to spray another coat of 2K clear. They recommend that you use half the hardener so it slows down the curing time, and then you wait for that 2K to clear. While you're waiting, you pray that this stuff does not turn gray, that it doesn't turn yellow, and that it doesn't turn brown, because it will do that, especially if you spray too wet of a coat onto it. Again, you don't want it misted on, you want it wet, but you don't want it just hosed on. And then you just got to wait and cross your fingers. If it does go bad, you pretty much get one more shot. You can spray another coat of this over that 2K after it cures. Don't spray it while it's wet. If you spray this over wet 2K clear, it will go brown. It will stay brown. It will never chrome up. If it goes wrong the first time, you spray another coat of the chrome. You then wait for that another 2 days to cure up, and then you spray your 2K clear again, and then you wait for that to cure. If it messes up again, which it usually doesn't, but if it does, you need to strip the part, because you've got so much 2K on there that you've lost all definition of the part. You've just got to strip it and start over. Again, when it works, it's absolutely gorgeous. When it doesn't, it is an absolute nightmare. I will keep using it because, I mean, I paid $50 and I have this huge bottle of chrome. And like I said, when it works really well. I'm probably going to use this on builds where I only have a couple of parts to spray. You know, bumpers. You know, if I've got 2 bumpers and maybe 4 wheels, sure. If I've got a build like this where you've got a bumper, headlights, fog lights, door handles, window cranks, multiple parts of the wheels, license plate mounts, just all these different chrome parts, and I didn't do them all at once. That was another thing that really kind of turned me off, because I had to do this over and over and over and over in batches of parts that I did. So if you're going to use this, do all of your parts at once so that you only have to sit through it once. Another tip is get a dehydrator. I don't have one. I have said forever that I don't think I need a dehydrator, because typically all I spray are lacquers. Lacquer paints dry in like 10 to 15 minutes, to be honest with you. The 2K is the only thing that really I have to wait for, and I have to wait on that just 2 or 3 days. For most of my builds, you know, I'm just like, okay, whatever, I'll just wait for the body. I'll set the body aside while I build everything else. When I come back to it, it's cured. But if you're having to deal with this process, having a dehydrator would be really helpful, because you can turn that 2 days into like 2 hours at 100 degrees. So I may get a dehydrator at some point and try this again and see if the experience is any better. If I do, I will definitely let you guys know. Every hingeable panel on this car, from the tailgate to the hood, has had at least one hinge break. Some of them have had all the hinges break. The entire hood has had to be rebuilt. The way I fixed them was I just drilled in through the top. You can see it right there. So I drilled in through the side that had the pin in it, because the pin is what breaks off. So I drilled through there, ran a 0.5 millimeter piece of rod through there so that it sits inside the recess on the other side of the hinge, and then just glued it in place. For the most part, you don't see them, so it's not that big of a deal unless you're just like right up on it. Like, I'm sure a judge will see it, but oh well, it had to be fixed. Everything works. We're going to be very delicate with this hood, because the hood is fragile. The front hinge piece on this hood, while I was trying to repair it, it split in half on me. One of the issues with this kit is that there are kind of nubs that show you where to locate the hinge pieces, but those nubs cause a gap between the hinge pieces that cause the radiator not to sit all the way back, and it just doesn't sit right. So while I was trying to fix that, I had to try and basically cut the front hinge piece off, and in the process it just broke in half. So I ended up 3D modeling and printing a new one. That allowed me to make sure everything fit. The radiator sits back properly, and but at the same time it's very, very delicate, because 3D printed resin can be touchy. So I don't want to work out too much, because it can break. We have our carburetors in there. The carburetors have our fuel rail, which you can see it in there. You see it better from this side. You can see that the fuel rail runs between the two carbs. There's a line back there. That fuel line runs off to a fuel filter that I 3D modeled and printed. That's pretty cool. We also installed an ignition coil up here because this does have a regular distributor on it. We went with the hot rod engine. So I'm really happy with how all of that turned out. Engine bay looks really nice. We have our custom license plate for Lemon Drop. Now I did have to 3D model up my own headlights here because mine had a short in the print out of the kit part. Like a good chunk of this headlight was missing. So I made my own as well as a base for the horn. And for the lens, I just used some of that Let's resin that Ed's been talking about. You can kind of see where the hood doesn't quite fit. There's nothing really I can do about it. It is what it is. Part of it is the metal pin, but another part of it is just the fact that the hole that's in there on the back side isn't low enough. So the hood sits up a little bit. It's a kit with some eccentricities. Another thing that I just finished this morning are these fog lights. Modeled in very similar fashion to the headlights. I filled them with some Let's resin as well. But before I did, I added a little bit of Tamiya clear yellow paint to the resin. You can add paint to that resin and then cure it with the UV light, and it cures up solid. So those look really cool. A nice little addition, something you don't see on these builds very often, unless someone just makes their own because it's not a kit part. For our wheels, I did end up taking the Z-Force Modelworks files for these absolutely gorgeous wheels, and I shrunk them down to 17s for the front and 18s for the rear. And then I got a set of Firestones. I forget where I got them. They came with some wheels, and I don't remember which wheels. But I scaled those to fit over the Z-Force Modelworks wheels, and those look so much better than those low-profile modern tires. They fill those wheel wells in a lot nicer. Speaking of breaking things and losing things, I did have to 3D model a new pitman shaft down here, and while doing that, I just made a few modifications. So the wheels do actuate, which if you do it the way the kit tells you, you end up gluing all these pieces together and then the wheels don't turn. But not only that, it actually works the steering mechanism, which is kind of cool. Now, it doesn't actually work the steering wheel, but you know, it's cool enough. For our rear end, we have another custom Texas license plate. I 3D modeled my own teardrop taillights because I didn't like the single kit one. And we have polished brass for our exhaust. All of that turned out really well. We have also 3D modeled a moon-style fuel tank that I put in the bed. I have a little separate cap there that we painted up brass. I've been asked what this circle on this side is. That would be an embedded electric fuel pump. On these trucks, the original fuel tank sits up here in the cowl. There isn't a fuel pump. Gravity feeds the fuel from the tank down to the filter and then through the filter to the carburetors. I saw a tank like this on a truck on Bring a Trailer. I loved the look of it, so I went ahead and made my own. But yeah, that's what that is, and you can't really see it just due to the lighting. But I do have a couple of lines coming out the back of the fuel tank that go down underneath the tank itself, but those will be fuel lines running out the tank. Again, we went with a cherry wood finish on this bed, which I think is a beautiful contrast for that yellow. Just like with the 37 Ford, I'm having a hard time getting this to stay closed. I may come back and make some mounts for some 1mm magnets and glue those in somewhere in this bed, and then see if I can't just glue like a metal plate in the corner of the tailgate so that that'll hold that up a little bit. But for right now, we're just going to be real careful and try not to break it. Now, for our interior, we did a lot of stuff in here for the interior. The steering wheel itself is a banjo style steering wheel that I 3D printed. We did some wood finish on that as well as on the shift knob and the handbrake. There you go. So you can see our handbrake in there. We got some brass trim on various bits and pieces. We also added in some pedals because having a kit that opens and then not including the pedals seemed kind of a strange idea to me. So we've got those added in there. We also had to replace the center gauge cluster because I lost it. We have replaced the door handles with custom door handles that I 3D modeled. Those are available on my Colts page, as are the window cranks, which we added in as well. We also added in the door card. That's just a 3D modeled up. I just did something kind of basic, but just to give it a little bit more than just that flat side. I also wanted some place to mount the window crank and the door handle. So I've got holes in there to help locate those and help glue those in, make them stable. We added some seat belts in here. Another thing I talked about in the last video is the surround around that glass, because the way they do this glass, you have to cut your own acetate and then glue it in, and that glue is really, really visible, and it's really unsightly. So I made a surround to go around the backside. I then made a cover that goes over the top. And to that cover, I added in a rear view mirror. I will be adding several things to my Colts 3D page. I'm going to do a set that is going to include both the rear cover, the front cover, and the rear view mirror. I'm going to also add a file in for the moon tank. I will be doing the rear license plate mount will be going in with the front headlights in case anyone else has a short like I did and needs a replacement, as well as the fog lights. So those are the things that I will be putting in there. I may also do one of these fuel filters because Revell models the spot for the fuel filter, but they don't include the fuel filter. But there is a recess in here. I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it. There's a recess in there for the fuel filter. So I was like, yeah, we got to put a fuel filter in there. As usual, all of my builds get a toll tag and a registration sticker. The date on the registration sticker is the month and the year that a build was finished. So I always have a reminder if I want to look back in the past at some of my old builds. I can tell you, I wish I had started doing that from the very beginning because I have years worth of builds that this isn't on. But ever since I started doing that, it's nice just to be able to go back and say, oh yeah, I did this in October of 2025 or whatnot. So all of the builds get that. This one is no exception. I was talking with James Duff, a great guy. Been a load of information. He was like, you put a toll tag on that? There's no way I would take that on a Texas toll road. And he has definitely got a point because I don't think this thing's going to do the 90 to 95 that is the average speed on a Texas toll road. But it's just it's a habit. It's a ritual for when I'm wrapping up a build. I have to put my registration sticker and my toll tags on there. Alright guys, that is a wrap for this video. Check out Scale Finishes for this beautiful candy lemon head paint. I do have a discount code with them. You can use JHart10. It's down in the description to get 10% off your order. From here, it's Wednesday night. I'm recording this a little early, but I need to spend pretty much the rest of this week getting ready for the Texas Scale Model Expo. I've got to fill out some registration forms, figure out what I'm taking, get all my models packed up, all that jazz. But our next build will be coming up with an unboxing next week. I'm very excited about this build. It is an Alpha Models build. No, Alpha did not send me the kit. This is one that I have been begging them to do for 2 years. They finally announced it, and I grabbed probably one of the first ones out the door. So, be looking forward to that next week. Until then, I'm going to go ahead and stop yakking. Thank you for watching the videos. I always appreciate you guys supporting the channel, and I will catch you guys on the next one.